Right, good evening everyone. Welcome back to the MCM Outdoor Show. Reason for this video is that I've been tagged by one of our followers, fellow subscriber, Garry Andrews. Been tagged in a video entitled Top 5 Adventures. So I've been racking my brains over the past hour or so. I've got myself a cold King Goblin 6.6% from the Witchwood Brewery, and I've got a list. So I'm going to take you through them in no particular order apart from the first one, but top 5 is as follows. I'll keep this as short as I can. Number 1, as cheesy as it sounds, seeing both of my children being born. That's probably one of the best adventures you can get. You go to the hospital, there's 2 of you, and when you come out you're with an extra human being. It's a nerve-wracking experience, albeit for the guys we're just sort of like sat there trying to help out as best we can, but those of you that have experienced that know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a tense sort of long period of time, and it's one of the greatest adventures I've had. I've done it twice, got 2 lovely children, and it's absolutely amazing experience. Probably one of the most scariest experiences of my life, but there you go, seeing both of my little ones being born. Number 2, Crib Goch. Spoke about this a couple of years ago on a wild camp on the moors in Yorkshire. Going back to around age 14, I was with 14 and 15, couple of lads from school, one of them being Walshy, who you know very well, and we decided one weekend to get the train to Brimacombe in North Wales. And I stopped saying sorry about that. One day we decided to go and climb Snowdon. We were there for a couple of nights just camping in Brimacombe. We climbed Snowdon, and I'd heard stories about Crib Goch. I knew what it was, and I knew it was absolutely terrifying. So we did Snowdon via, I think it was the miners track, basic from Penny Pass car park, and it was fine, cracking, red hot summer's day, not a cloud in the sky. Got to the summit, stayed around for the usual photographs, spoke to a couple of fellow walkers, and I asked about a different route down, an alternative route down, to avoid the infamous Crib Goch traverse. I was pointed by numerous walkers along a certain section of track, which ultimately got narrower and narrower until we found ourselves on Crib Goch. By that time it was too late, and we had committed to the ridge. Period of sheer terror for a couple of hours, or what felt like a couple of hours, when in reality it's probably only half an hour, 35 minutes or so. One leg either side. Was absolutely terrified. Sheer drops down one side, sheer drops down the other. One slip and it was all over. Walshy scuttled across on his backside and disappeared from view, and we didn't know whether he was still alive or whether he'd fallen to his death. So it was a tense traverse of Crib Goch. That was the first time we've experienced that ridge, and it was a brilliant adventure. We got back down all safe and well. Drove back down to the village in Betsy, and over a few pints that evening in the Stables bar in the Royal Oak, discussed our adventure, and to this day it's just an epic. Stays with us. We met a guy coming across the other way who had an old, back in those days, 35mm film camera. He took a picture that's somewhere possibly in the loft or in my parents' house, and there's me, and if you could see my face on it, it's a picture. Look white as a sheet, but it was great. That was our first taster of a serious ridge. So that's number 2. Number 3 was we joined a climbing club when we were younger in Liverpool, and as a bit of a tester, the head lead climber, prior to going to Scotland, wanted to test our mental ability. We didn't know at the time, obviously, but we told him we were going for a bit of a jaunt in Coombe, Midwell again in Snowdonia. We were led by Billy up into Combe Idwal, which is basically like a corrie, steep face and sheer cliffs, brilliant rock climbing territory. It was, I think it was like a cold November day, grey and misty, and when Billy pointed the route that we were going to take, I thought, how on earth are we going to do that? We've done no rope work before. Again, aged only sort of 14 and 15, and it was a terrifying prospect, the route we were going to take. It's called Chasm Face, and a particular sort of move and section that was called the catwalk, and that's terrifying. If you Google it, and if you Google the catwalk in Combe Idwal or Chasm Face, you'll probably see it, and it's a traverse of what must be just under a foot, to be fair, width of rock, which is like a ledge, which you basically, it's like an old cartoon where one of the characters flattened themselves against the rock wall. One slip again and you tumble into your demise, basically. We were roped up, but again, exposure was absolutely horrific. Once we'd surpassed that obstacle, we got a little bit further up into the cliff face, and then there was nowhere else to go. But there was like a crack in the rock, a couple of foot wide, a couple of foot high. It was higher than it was wide, and you had to crawl. It was basically a chimney into the rock. Crawl horizontally into this chimney, scuttle along on your back, pushing yourself with your feet, trying to get some purchase on the wet rock. If you're claustrophobic, you'd hate it because you were within the bowels of the mountain. And if you imagine the letter L, we were crawling along the lower L part, and then you've got to make a 90-degree turn from your back to get vertical. And there's a small chink of light which was left, and then you had to bridge your way all the way up to the top with a soaking wet rock face on both sides. If you let up any pressure off your knees or your back, you'd start sliding, and that was again terrifying. We got to the top, and that's genuinely one of the most hardest, scariest things I've ever done in my entire life. I had to be pulled out at the top, literally by my dad, and one of the other guys was just like an arm, come out over the top, and I didn't have the strength to pull myself out. I was hauled out of there. It was like being born again. Once we come out of that crack, I felt like I'd been given another chance in life. So did Walshy. Got home that night in the bath, and I was just laughing. It was just like a feeling of elation that we'd survived it, and it was quite empowering to think that you were capable of doing something like that. And it's all mental and psychological block. If the fear and the exposure takes hold, it'll put you off things like that. So that is number 3. Number 4 is quite a recent one. It's the Wild Camp, the Extreme Summit Camp on Pendle Hill, going back to February, March this year, in the Mountain Hardware Trango 2. Grey day, chucking it down here at ground level. We got up to the summit of Pendle Hill and conditions were atrocious. It was blowing an absolute gale. There was a massive low depression heading east or northeast across the country from the Atlantic. We'd had a series of them, all that beast from the east coming in all the way from sort of Greenland, working its way down south and then tracking northeast across the country. It brought with it some very, very strong damaging winds and bitingly cold wind chill. The video speaks for itself. I'll put a link at the end of this video, one of those live links. But it was cracking adventure. It was Pendle Hill, which is atmospheric and notorious in terms of the legends of the Pendle Witches, so we added a spooky element into the video, and as per MCM style, we took quite a few beers, Earl Grey IPA, which was a favourite of Walshy's, and a nice bottle of red, and some cheese and ham, and it was quite surreal being on the summit of Pendle Hill, eating cheese and ham from booths and drinking nice wine while those conditions were just blowing an absolute gale outside, and the only thing that was separating us from that was a couple of millimetres of tent fabric, which is tantamount to the build quality and the reliability of the Mountain Hardware Trango 2. Absolutely bomb-proof tent. As we turned the lights out just to try and get some sleep, the winds massively increased and they were gusting 70, pushing 70 mile an hour plus at times gusts that evening. It's not an exaggeration that it was literally horrendous. No sleep, but again, Brilliant adventure. And then number 5, this is genuinely not a cheesy brownie point scoring exercise. I think life, as cheesy as it sounds, is the greatest adventure of all time, because it's a blank canvas and each day is an adventure in terms of possibility. Now, without going into too much detail about my personal life, there's been quite a few changes over the last couple of years or so, some massive changes to my personal life. It's been the hardest couple of years, but the amount of stuff I've learned in this time is absolutely, it's just unbelievable what you learn about yourself, what you're capable of, about thinking positive and realising that you can, with positive thought, hard work and effort, you can achieve anything. I've tried very hard with the channel. We're not millionaires, we don't make any money off it. That's not the ultimate goal, albeit if we did make money off it one day, it would be ploughed back into equipment and more trips to make more content. But I've watched a lot of inspirational people during a difficult time. One of them, Casey Neistat. Now those of you that are not overly familiar with YouTube, you just use it for watching walking videos, which is fine, but Casey is sort of like one of the best, if not the most well-known YouTuber on the face of the earth. He's got a really good story, makes cracking. He did a daily vlog for a number of years, but his work ethic and his positivity, and he's got like this energy about him which is just astounding. And we all get lazy in life and we can become a bit dejected and stuck in a rut, and take things for granted and just be swept along by the ups and downs of daily life. But when you stop and think that actually we're not here for that long, you've got to make the most of it. People use the expression live each day as though it's your last. No one does that. They don't. We'd all like to do it, but we don't, do we? But I've got that much more appreciation of that ethos, and I do try on occasion and certainly aim for that. The videos are just a way of, I don't know, it's something that I enjoy, something that I've done for a long time. The walking and camping, I enjoy it. It's like an outlet for a stressful job. But job aside, prior to that, I've always had a love of the great outdoors. So I think YouTube as a platform, it's brilliant. All you need is a phone, a camera and an internet connection and an idea or a storyline, and you can put whatever you want and you've got a global audience. I just find that absolutely fascinating. Cost free, you come up with an idea, you want to make whatever you want, you've got a global audience to get your message across or show what you want to show. So I'm digressing, but going back to life, your enjoyment of life, making the most of it, do what you love, live each day as though it's your last, in a positive manner. So that sums it up. I hope you like my 5 greatest adventures. There are probably more. It's quite tough. I don't like putting it down to a number. If you asked me my top 5 songs, I couldn't do that. I'd just be stressed out with that question. But there you go. Nominations, top 5 adventures. Tagging, okay, not everyone likes it, but Mountain Mike, he's got a load of books out, he's got loads of adventures. I'm sure he can let us know what his top 5 are. Sue from Backpacks and Bruises, and Alan Metalman, and Mark Brimacombe. So there we go, there's my nominations. Mountain Mike, Backpacks and Bruises Sue, or the pair of you, Al Metalman and Mr. Brimacombe. Let us know what you think. Hopefully you've liked the short video. I'm going to get back to drinking this beer. I'm going to upload this as we speak, or well, not as we speak, but it's going to be the next thing to do. Stay tuned, like I've said on the last camping pod video in Eskdale. Whilst Meister and I are going wild camping, with a guest that you've never seen before, who's a great laugh and a cracking bloke. On the 30th, we don't know where we're going. It's going to be somewhere in the Lake District. It's going to be high level, top of a fell, proper wild camp, load of beer, hopefully a load of laughs, and we're very much looking forward to that. Check us out on Facebook. We've got a group. Join it. It's a closed group, but share everything about outdoors related on there. There's also an official page. If you like what we put out, give it a thumbs up, like the page and follow us. We're also on Instagram, got a bizarre feed which has got anything and everything on there, so check us out on that. And we're also on Twitter at MCM Outdoor Show. So we'll see you very shortly, well, in a couple of weeks' time, for a wild camp atop an unknown fell in the Lake District. See you soon and get out in the great outdoors.